I'm here.
I know you're here. We're here. Good morning to you. This is the August the 18th edition of the Good Morning Show, where we try and pick up your vibe and help you kind of cope in these crazy
Fun times.
fun
times. Interesting and fun times.
Interesting and fun. Well, that's a nice way of putting it there, Victoria. So there has been some fun. I can't say it's all been like, doom and gloomy, right?
Well, Confucius did say maybe we live in interesting times. So we're certainly living in interesting times. We are certainly in as you know, I'm a psychotherapist, and
yes,
and I work with clients most days, and I'm a holistic psychotherapist. So I try and find larger meanings to things. It's not just talk about your feelings. Let's try and get a bigger picture. But I would say, yeah, very interesting times we're living in.
Yeah.
Multifaceted.
Yes. And what are they, I don't mind interesting times, but not this interesting. So those just tuning in and watching, good morning. Our guest today is Victoria Lorient-Faibish.
Hello.
Psychotherapist, as we just found out.
Yeah.
She's a speaker. And I know you do speaking slams and all kinds of competitions. You're an author, a writer. You write in Vitality magazine.
Yeah.
And we're here just to talk about what's going on. And
yeah,
one of the things you've been talking about a lot, I noticed on your Facebook post, has been grief.
Yeah.
And sadness. And
yeah.
And so what are you seeing in your work, not specifically with patients, but generally? What are they coming in wanting and needing, and how are they processing what's going on? And then what is the sadness about? What are they feeling sad or grieving?
Well, traditionally we look at grief as sort of the loss of a person or the loss of a pet, but in this case, it's really the loss of a dream, the loss of what we thought things would be like, the loss of convenience, the loss of ease of travel, the loss of being able to distract ourselves with travel, or distract ourselves with a party, or distract ourselves with theater, or distract ourselves with, just walking down the street and not being afraid to,
Cough.
People have expressed all kinds of, yeah, listen, I went into a coffee shop the other day to pick up a coffee and I had my mask on, but they had cleaned their place so thoroughly with chemicals that I started to literally have a bit of an asthma coughing attack. And I was like, I don't have COVID, I'm just coughing because of the chemicals. And she laughed. And anyways, it was embarrassing though. It was extremely embarrassing. So I personally have been feeling for sure my own grieving, the loss of ease, the loss of various businesses that I used to frequent that are no longer there, the loss of a sense of just natural comfort in crowds, which I used to love, and live music and these types of things. But people are experiencing that in their own unique way, and usually when we're grieving, we tend to be more sensitive, more irrational, the way we're perceiving things. We see things as worse than they are when we're grieving. Sometimes we get angry, but there's no one to be angry at, but we just get angry. And, I see couples getting into trouble because they see their partners angry. And I'm saying, hold the space for the messy feelings and don't take it on. Don't take it personally. People have a right to feel their messy feelings, know that they're being heard, and know that people don't have to take it personally. And then usually we can come out the messiness and come into a balanced state of being once we feel that we've been able to express ourselves and we've been able to be heard in our feelings and our messiness.
So what's the process that you would walk somebody through? So especially a couple,
yeah.
They'll come to you, there's a little messiness.
Yes.
They're both grieving, and grief is huge. I know, they've done studies on couples who have lost a child, and the grief is so bad that they can't talk to each other. They don't know what to say.
Yeah, we just shut down a lot of
the
grieving processes. A lot of the times the shutdown occurs. Like, I was just working with a couple just yesterday that one of the persons in the couple was experiencing a tremendous amount of anger that, they used to be able to travel. They used to be able to this and that. And of course it's, you know, first world problems, but I always tell people, don't do that because you're minimizing your feelings. And then you're going to have more of those feelings if you don't. You see, our feelings will only get quieted when we actually stop and acknowledge and feel them fully. They will not quieten down unless we do that. So we're setting ourselves up for worse, more extreme feelings if we don't stop and truly acknowledge. And in a couple, it's get out of our own ego to be able to really not take personally what our partner might be feeling.
Right.
You know, that, and that's hard, by the way. That's why we come to therapy, so that there could be a neutral party to go, hang on a second, that wasn't directed toward you. That's just this person's feelings that they get to feel without feeling criticized or judged or minimized or mocked.
And so is there a process that you know, like what is that process to take them from, hey, we're having challenges?
Well, I immediately go into, listen, we're not going to be on my watch allowing you to just scream at each other. That's just not happening. So, because sometimes grieving can be about anger and can show up as anger, can show up as all these messy feelings, as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So the process first is to set up the causes and conditions, or in this case, a process in which the couple can, one person can express, the other person can acknowledge. Express and acknowledge. Express and acknowledge, and then switch. Express and acknowledge. So that both people, and we take a good 40 minutes doing that, so that both people can feel that their feelings are actually being heard, and then there's this thing in our system that really feels like once we allow those feelings to be heard and acknowledged by someone we love, we start to do a couple things. We start to like the feelings start to get resolved more simply by being acknowledged and heard in a compassionate way. That's one. Two, we will start to let down our guard and our walls. Three, we will start to build bridges of trust between the two people. And there will be a goodwill energy between the two people. So that is the essential process. It's not a rocket science, but it's providing time, energy, and space to have the people be expressing freely and be heard and acknowledged.
What if a couple, you know, they don't want to come in, one's really silent, they're quiet, they just want to be alone in their grief, and the other person's saying, yeah, but come on, you know, like, come out, you know, a little bit, and they can't get them to come out.
Right.
What should they be looking at? What should they be doing? And how can they deal more proactively where good communication is happening and things are happening?
Listen, you know, it's not easy because if one person doesn't want to be in the therapy process, there's not a lot you can do. I can coax people into wanting to be there, but they've got to want to do it themselves, and they've got to want to be part of the process. So if one person is just silent, I'm literally going, you guys aren't ready for therapy. You know, if both of you are into it, let's go. I could do a little bit of coaxing, but I can't force people to express themselves. But I would say during coronavirus, what are people dealing with is a lot of this. They cannot escape each other. They just cannot escape each other. I think that anyone who is in a couple right now is fortunate because they have someone to touch, someone to hold, someone to feel, someone to feel freedom. They don't have to be socially distancing from them. So that's very fortunate. But at the other side of that, you know, there's a lot of, I can't escape you. There's only you. And it's like a lot of energy about you. So it could be very tough also. And I've seen a lot of people kind of escalate their unhappiness in the relationship and just blatant effing, get the F out of my, you know, it's like, I don't want to see you, like I'm done with you kind of thing. So there's a lot of that. People who are not feeling happy in their relationship will have more of that show up during coronavirus because they're so just them. And then if they have kids, it's so difficult. So it can be, by the way, I've had many people say how amazing coronavirus has been for them. They're just so pleased that they've had family time and no work. And they've just been, even though the no work has been tough on the finances, it's been really good on the family being together and nurturing one another. So I'm not saying it's all bad. There's been some very good that's come from coronavirus. People have been like saying to me, I don't want it to go back to the way it was, you know,
Yeah.
pre-COVID.
There's a part of me that feels that way too.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's married couples. So you got
yeah,
people to deal with. What are you seeing in single people? Is it the loneliness? Is it
yeah.
as well? And
100%. Loneliness is amazing. Now that stage 3 is happening, it's such a blessing for a lot of people. They get to be out more. They're not just in a park, 6 feet away. They're actually at a cafe, in a patio. So yeah, it's a real relief, you know. But yet for some people, it's actually a burden. Oh shit, I got to be out there again. I got to be with people again. So if they have any kind of social anxiety, that's a little bit of a challenge for them. But at the same time, there's a tremendous amount of, I've just working with clients. It's like therapy has been a lifeline on Zoom. And because I'm a holistic psychotherapist, just the other day, it was amazing. It's not just talking. I say, okay, take the computer to your deck or your balcony or wherever it is, and get a little thing where you can burn some sage, and then they'll sit cross-legged in front of the, I don't have a picture, but they'll sit cross-legged in front of the little bowl that they're burning sage, and they'll sort of we'll do a little meditation. I'm a little bit of a YouTube DJ now. I'll bring in the drumming, and I'll bring in the flutes, and I'll bring in the meditation music, because you can share music on Zoom. So we're doing a full meditation, a full ceremony of release of shame, or whatever we're working on, release of shame, or or we're working on, burn some affirmations so that you talk to it's like we're just doing some interesting sort of more holistic ways of calming the spirit. And it's not just talking. I do a lot of visualization. I do a lot of ceremonial stuff, a lot of movement stuff. So Zoom has been just a freaking revelation. It's been awesome,
I know, you can imagine if this happened 20 years ago, we didn't have this kind of technology.
Oh my God, absolutely. You could do the phone therapy, you do telephone, but this has been amazing. I get to share music. I get to share imagery. I get to create I do a lot of my website is called Visualization Works. So I do a lot of visualization journeys with people, visual journeys with people, to help the mind, the body, and the emotions and the soul.
Talking about visualization, if you were to gaze into your crystal ball, Victoria, where do you see relationships going post-COVID? Guys, I don't think we can go back to the way life was. I just don't think we can.
I think there's more. I think that what I'm seeing is we're valuing each other more in many ways. And we're also getting much more clear about what we want versus what we don't want. And in dating, for example, there's just more getting to know one another before you get physical, which I think has been very positive for young people. Getting to know one another, just because, the pandemic's not over yet, and people will be getting COVID. So you can't just date and not, do the appropriate things. You got to still take your time before you break the 6-foot barrier, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just the other day, but I just was hearing about a young person in her 30s who had done really well for the 3 months, the March, the April, the May, and then loosened up in the June, and then the July. It's like, oh, COVID, it's like, shoot, that was terrible.
Yeah, but
so it's still out there.
But the cases are lower, and I heard 30,
The cases are lower. Toronto's been amazing.
Yeah.
Low transmission rate,
I know.
Thank goodness. But don't just throw all caution to the wind.
No, exactly. It's.
Don't be a COVIDiot. No.
No kidding. It's hard dating in this time if you are single.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. It is, but it's doable. I mean, there's been some amazing connections that I have seen from my clients. They're doing cooking dates on Zoom. They're going for walks. They're now meeting up at a cafe or at a restaurant. They're taking the time, as I said, to get to know one another. So yes, a number of people have felt really grieving about the fact that it can't just be the way it was before. But many people are like, well, they're happy that it's not the way it was before.
Yeah. And maybe a little more traditional, which isn't a bad thing, So I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's the new traditions, versus the old. But I think it's a good thing. I really do, on some level.
Now, I want to go back to grieving. What are some of the signs? What do we need to start to pay attention to. And then if it's really, if we're really feeling it, because there are some days that I don't know, I feel a little out of sorts, but I get back.
Oh, me too. Me
I get
too.
on, right? And I do some
It
self.
comes in waves, David. It
So
comes in.
so what are the signs? What do we need to be mindful of? And when do we know, you know, maybe I should go see a person like you?
Well, I think that grieving is different from sadness, because sadness often is about something, a circumstance, etc. But grieving is sometimes about a pervasive loss that is not necessarily, as I said, the death of a person. It's more like, and it comes in waves. I know for me, I lost my dad in '89, and I still have moments where I grieve that, you know. So grieving is not one and done. You know, it's over time. But grieving looks different to so many people. It can show up as erratic emotions. It can show up as, so it's hard to say, what are we looking for? You're looking, you know, I was working with someone who was just so irritable. And when we drilled down into what was going on, they were just feeling a tremendous amount of grief over the fact that life had changed so much. And, you know, so irritable. And once we started to identify, oh, maybe you're grieving, they softened. They weren't as irritable. When we name it, we can claim it, we can change it. When you name it, you can claim it and own it, you can change it. So when you start to, so that's why I say, factor in the notion that you might be grieving. You might not just be sad. You might not just be angry. You might not just be irritable. Maybe there's a bigger picture. It's not, well, I'm just feeling like that. No, drill down, go on a fishing expedition as to what you're actually feeling. Because only when you name it can it start to dissolve. Usually it doesn't, it'll repeat until you name it and find out what the F is going on.
But there's still that stigma about grief, sadness, depression, and people don't want to really look at it. And yet,
there's a lot of avoidant people.
and yet you got to go through, you know, there's nothing to it but to go through it.
There's no way around the mountain, as I say. You got to go through it. You got to go through it.
So
and the stigma is unfortunate, but I think now it's pretty ubiquitous. Like, a lot of people are feeling feelings about what's going on. So maybe there's a little less stigma because there's so much of it. There's so much going on, right?
You know what? I did a video on my walk about 3 weeks ago, and I was just walking down I do a morning walk, and after I meditate, and so that's my self-care, right? And
yeah,
it was like seven-ish in the morning. I was on my walk, and the bus I used to take to go to the subway was empty, and that triggered me. And I'm thinking, you know, but BC, before COVID, not Jesus, not the BC, that bus at 7:20, 7:30 would be packed.
Yeah.
Right? Packed.
Yeah.
You could barely get a seat. So,
but
little things like that. What triggers? What could trigger us to have maybe an episode of, you know, all of a sudden grief or sadness, or to realize the magnitude of what's going on right now?
Well, I think just like you said, anything can trigger us, but more than anything, the vast contrast of what it used to be like. And to really realize that nothing, I don't know how about you, but at the beginning I thought, well, you know, in a couple of weeks it should be resolved. Like in March, I thought, you know, well, you know, I'll figure in April it'll be better, you know.
Yeah.
And then around mid-April, I started to go, wow, this is not turning around for a long time. When June hit, I started to get really, you know, people were saying to me, you know, when are you going back to the office? I'm like, I don't know. Is this, yeah, I have no idea when I'm going back to the office. And I remember thinking to myself in June, it's like, Matt, I might not go back to the office. I might be doing remote therapy for a long time. And I remember thinking, well, Bathurst is empty. Those buildings, that's what I would really do a lot of grieving, is I'd look at all the buildings at Bathurst, and rather at King and Bay, and thinking, oh my God, they're all empty. And then I thought, all these people are, like, what's going to happen? So I started to do this sort of catastrophizing thinking. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Which I really recommend you not do. Give yourself a minute to feel that and then move away from it, because I don't think it helps that catastrophe thoughts are in any way helpful to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But honor it, acknowledge it, cry about it, feel about it, write about it, sing about it, paint about it, draw about it, and it will dissipate. One day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Anytime we take a big catastrophe thought, that's usually going to take us down a rabbit hole, a spiraling rabbit hole of hopelessness. And it's just not helpful or beneficial. But I really feel that we have a resiliency as human beings that we never thought we had through this. That's what I'm realizing with all of that, is that so many people thought, how could we ever, like, I don't know about you, I used to joke, well, unless a pandemic happens, which is not, not likely to happen. I mean, years ago, I would say this. Well, we're going through that very thing that we never thought we could. As I said to one of my clients the other day, you thought you couldn't survive something so drastic as this. And look at you now, pivoting, making business moves that are about new ways of making money, new ways of doing things. Good job. Awesome work. My skill set has evolved immensely from being a remote therapist. It's so I see very good things coming from all of this.
I think we have to celebrate ourselves more, like we're also, especially entrepreneurs in my realm of work, they're really hard on themselves. I had a session today with a client, and she's really hard. She, I'm not getting enough done, and I'm not working hard enough. She just had minor surgery too. I said,
wow.
Can you just park it? And you know what I did? I had her she's 24. I said, talk to your little 8-year-old. Pretend you're 8. What would you say? Said, I tell the 8-year-old not to work so hard and take it easy. There's your answer.
There's your wisdom, right? There's your wisdom.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I do a lot of that with people. I love that you do that with entrepreneurs. I do that with people seeking therapy. It's just everything. A lot of what our work is to cut the cord that is connected to our solar plexus, that is connected to old ways of doing things, maybe family of origin that's toxic, or old bosses' criticism and judgment. Bring on some energy to just cut that cord, and it's gonna that cord is gonna, like a salamander's ass, it's gonna grow again, but cut it again and cut it again.
Yeah.
Cut it again, and suddenly the neural pathways will rewire about that particular way of being.
Right. And being a business coach, and even in life as we see it, it's definitely not business as usual right now.
Oh God, no.
This is very usual,
But business, maybe not as usual, but maybe new business.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yes, I'm excited. I think I'm seeing more people thinking bigger and wanting to build a legacy and really make on the planet. So I'm hearing a lot of that, and that's exciting. Rather than
incredible.
Open up a little dress shop. No, I want to change the freaking world. I'm seeing that more, and that, to me, that excites me.
Maybe there's an urgency more. Pandemic has brought an urgency.
Yes.
To the need to bring your voice to the planet. Your voice.
Yeah. Totally
agree and totally feel that. Totally feel that.
Yeah, and I think we need to bring our voice to the planet. Unfortunately, wearing these masks that sort of permit.
I got a transparent one, which is kind of fun.
I saw one today. I saw one tonight. He's wearing a clear plastic, and I'm going, that's brilliant. I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think people are going to want, I think it's really cool also that people are making statements. My friend Nadia Lloyd makes these really cool masks, Black Lives Matter, and then an ode to Toronto and all these things. So yeah, we can make our statements with our masks, and we can have these transparent masks as well, so that you can see the smiles as well.
Sure. I have an idea for a mask, but
cool.
Got to keep that to myself right now.
Okay.
So what can happen if we're not dealing with these emotions, the grief, the sadness, the frustration?
I think, people are when they don't deal with their emotions, they become enraged. The rage happens, and you're seeing some people, I don't know if you saw Cherry Beach, these guys wielding, chainsaws, crazy shit. Just,
okay. Wow.
Yeah, to me, people that are not coping with their feelings are more at risk of becoming absolutely enraged or deeply paralyzingly, critically depressed.
I shared last week with our guest, and I mentioned I do the morning walk, and I'll go to a tree, and I vent on the tree. Like I put my hands on the tree and I just blow all my negative. I say, "Here, you take it." Right?
Oh, that's so good.
I know, and then I hug the tree, and
thank you, tree.
And I thank the tree. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you. Thank you. And then I move on. Boy, do I feel better. Right?
It's game changing. Communing with nature is everything. It really is everything.
Yeah. And it's just like, I'm dumping my anger, I'm dumping my sadness, I'm dumping my frustration. That's all it is. It's not like I'm angry at somebody or somebody did something.
Well, that's grieving. Sometimes it's just this unrelated feeling state that has nothing to do with other people, other situations.
Yeah. You know what, even grieving, we had the hockey playoffs are on, and I'm thinking, hockey in August? Like, come on, like everything is out of whack,
I know. But it's shaking us up so that we don't get too used to things. That's a good thing. Don't get too used to it.
Right.
Become more flexible. Allow for the change. Allow for the different.
Yes. And let go of the old. So
it's
that we
all about that, isn't it?
And we can birth the new. And that's why I'm hopeful. Like I think soon we're going to start to say, okay, we got to get busy, and we got to start making positive change finally on this planet in every area. And
I'm very proud of Canada.
I am too.
Very proud of Canada.
I am too.
I'm not saying it was perfect or any stretch of the imagination, but boy, it's come out like a shining beacon.
Yeah. But I think in the US too, like, God bless them. I think there's a lot of politics.
God bless the people.
Yeah. Well, God bless America, as they say.
Yeah, but the people, I feel for the people. They're going through, they got to get up there and get empowered and do what's right for them.
I know, but it's all politics there. It's such a mess. And the sooner we get through that darkness there, the better they're going to be. So how can we generate ourselves? Like I just took on, I got hired for a part-time job 3 days a week, and then I'm working on my business the other 2.5, right?
Nice.
How can we generate ourselves in the face of adversity when we just don't feel like it? There's times in the day I'm just exhausted.
Well, you got to honor that too.
Yeah, I know, but I can't, I'm working on the clock, right? So how do we generate ourselves in the face of adversity?
So are you talking about, when you say generate ourselves, you mean motivate ourselves and
motivate?
Yeah. Well, I have to say that the most important thing that the system needs in order to eventually feel motivated and generating all of that creative energy is you got to have self-compassion to start. Because if you treat yourself like a disciplinarian, the child in you will say, screw that, it's too much. It's too scary. So if you set yourself up for self-compassion, people get afraid of self-compassion. I think they're going to get lazy with self-compassion. I believe the opposite. I believe if we honor our need for rest, timeouts, we will be more motivated to work out more, to do more work, once we rest ourselves, sleep, in our natural rhythm of our clock, we will be much more motivated to be productive. But first, it starts with self-compassion.
Yeah, and self-compassion. A play and creativity in the day too, if you can.
Play, create structure. Also, I think human beings crave structure as well, and play, and unstructured time. So it's this combination of give yourself lots of unstructured time, but give yourself lots of structured time as well.
So what
combination?
Yeah. All right. So in the face of adversity, self-compassion, and
structure,
and
play are 3 good things to think about.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I think you're right, because it re-energizes you. A little bit of.
I mean, don't you feel better once you're rested?
Oh my God! If I have a half-hour nap, I'm ready to go again.
It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
An 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you're working on it in a disciplined way. 20% of the time you're not.
Yeah.
You're chilling out.
Yeah. And, Victoria, I mentioned to you yesterday in my note that we can meet, if you're okay with it, I'll meet you at Aroma in the Forest Hill Village.
Oh, absolutely. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love that. We'll do that. We'll do that soon.
Montclair.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, because I am close to you. Exactly. You're up in my area, right?
No, I'm in North York, but I'll come down. My sister's in your area.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, I was there last Sunday, a couple of Sundays ago, the rainy Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So, Tom, I want to talk about the importance of setting boundaries, because when you are grieving and you're a little raw and you're feeling sadness, and you need to sort of set boundaries, and some people can be hard on you, right? And they can have an expectation of you to, hey, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing this? Or snap out of it. What's wrong with you, right? Talk to us about the importance of setting boundaries, and how can we do that where we are nurturing our soul and ourselves and having.
So what I say to people is, you can't set yourself on fire in order to warm other people. You know what I mean? You've got to not hurt yourself in order to help others. Start with helping yourself. Start with loving and honoring and respecting your need for time, space. You have a need for a certain pace, a certain way of doing things. Find your self-culture, right? That's my first book. Find your self-culture. Know what you need. Know who you are. And you know what? You're going to piss people off. You're going to disappoint people. And work on being okay with the pain of guilt. Because the pain of letting your own self down is a much bigger pain long term than the pain of guilt of letting someone else down. It's like a juggernaut. It's like these two pains that you're dealing with. The pain of the guilt of saying no, and the pain of letting yourself down. The pain of letting yourself down is a much bigger pain in the long term than the pain of the guilt of saying no.
So it sounds like you almost have to set boundaries with yourself too.
Well, I think you need to make a commitment to yourself that you're, others everything.
Yeah.
Don't give others, don't empty yourself. And it's so tempting to do that, let me tell you. It's so tempting to let others take it all, because you get deceived that they will love you and they will accept you, and they will think that you're the bee's knees or the best of everything if you give them everything. But it's not how it usually works out.
No. So what about self-love? How do we practice that? How do we get to loving ourselves? Is it as simple as going into the mirror and go, I love you, you're great, Well,
there's that, but I think self-worth is more valuable than self-love. Sometimes we learn how to love from our family of origin that might not have been a healthy love. It could be a conditional love. It could be I'll love you when you're a perfect person. I'll love you, you know what I mean? It could be, so let's not start with self-love, because I want people to get to healthy self-love, which is unconditional self-love. But sometimes people have no idea how to do that. So start with, because everyone knows what it is to treat, like we all know very without a lot of learning or a lot of education or a lot of anything, what it is to feel self-worth. You know when someone's treating themselves with self-worth. You know that. So get into the valuing of self, the worthiness of self. Just because I'm alive, the experience of I matter just because I'm alive. I have Matt Kahn, a great I have unlimited value. There's nothing wrong. His affirmation or his mantras. There's nothing wrong with me because I have unlimited value, and that sense of valuing oneself will turn into the appropriate, healthy love of self.
Yeah, and the other big thing for people to realize is we're all here right now, and there's a reason we're here and living through this.
In this moment. Yes.
In this moment, because we're in a pivotal time. I think we're really gonna turn this planet on its ear.
I agree. I agree.
And so just stay the course, because I'm hearing about suicides have risen, you know,
Abuse in
abuse,
marriages.
you know, all those things. So, you know, we have to remember there's a reason we're here. Stay the course, because it's going to be magical. Just we got to all chip in though.
Yeah, I mean,
Been in a
we talk about fifth dimensional living versus third dimensional living. You know, third dimensional living is we're reacting, we're working, you know, we're surviving. Fourth dimensional living, we have the skill set and the knowledge base, but we're practicing it sometimes we're not. Fifth dimensional living is when we are living our life deliberately, consciously, all the time. And that's where we're going. That's where we're all headed.
cool.
Fifth dimensional living, I believe.
Yeah, I do too. I mentioned suicides. We have a few questions left to ask you. They have risen. What are some of the warning signs that we need to maybe be mindful of? And maybe it's not for us, but it's for somebody who we care.
Well, the number one thing people need to remember is that there is a statistic. If you ask someone that you suspect is suicidal, feeling suicidal, ask them directly, are you thinking about killing yourself? There is a crazy number, like a 90% chance they will not do it if you ask them, are you thinking about killing yourself? Very, very, very directly. Anyone I suspect that is depressed and suicidal, I will ask that question, because there is some science around, some stats around that question alone creates some sort of a barrier between them actually activating the suicide. And what was your question about suicide? What can we do?
What are some warning signs?
Warning signs? Well, you know, this notion of profound numbness, I don't give a F about anything and anyone, or really starting to fantasize about how much of a relief it will be. You know, this kind of thing. People saying, or giving stuff away, giving away your belongings, and really saying, you know, like, you know, it's just profoundly relieving to think about leaving life. It's the warning signs are different for many different people, but there's a big commonality around giving stuff away and really fantasizing and expressing how much of a relief it would be. And but at the same time, sometimes it just comes out of the blue. I mean, listen, there are many people who commit suicide who are always positive, and then suddenly you hear that they're gone.
Yeah.
So
I know that saddens me.
That just destroys me. It's just It's like I didn't know. I had no idea that it was coming, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so next time I declutter, and I did a little bit this spring, I'll let people know I'm okay.
You're okay. Yeah. No, decluttering is different from I'm giving away my prized possessions.
Oh, whatever. Stuff. Yeah, one day I might, but it's not because of that. It's because I'm packing up and moving out of here.
Perhaps, exactly. Well, there's that too. Downsizing.
Yeah. How can we stay positive when it seems bleak? And it is a little bleak right now, you know, like we don't have that, you know, I'm gonna quote my Jewish roots here.
Yeah.
You know, manish tana, which means why on this night can we not turn to other forms of entertainment during the Passover Seder? So, you know, we can't turn to other forms of entertainment right now to, you know, break up. You know, I missed a movie. You know, there's a couple of Saturdays ago where I just couldn't get out of bed. It's like I'm having a hard day today. So I just went.
Well, I think that there's this thing that we've all been, especially in the Western world, privileged Western world, that all these externals are what are making us feel good or bad. You know, the movie making us feel good, the travel making us feel good, all this stuff, and we're in a place where we have to find non-stimulus oriented things to make us feel good. Got to get to that internal place of self and selfhood and self-compassion, and also gratitude, as hokey as that sound, just finding things to feel grateful for.
Yeah.
And then when you can't do that, just feel your feelings and tell yourself this is going to pass. It's a temporary time.
Yeah.
This is not forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, crying is so cleansing and so good. Crying and just letting yourself feel those emotions is just So cleansing. If you will allow yourself, don't block, don't numb it out. There's no way around the mountain. Feel it deeply, and it will come through. You will come to the other side.
Well, I have a hard time with that. I'm not a crier.
Yeah, because people don't, a lot of men aren't trained, they're socialized out of crying, stiff upper lip. But
yeah, and I had a British mom, and chin up, hello, come on, hip hip, let's go.
Yes, get over it.
Well,
But honestly, the most important thing is to vulnerably experience your feelings, and they will then lead you to the other side of the problem.
one day I'm going to, and it might be a weekend retreat.
Yeah, I hear you.
I know it'll be good. It'll be good. Okay, and the power of positive affirmations. My last question.
They're a game changer for me. They're a game changer. I do affirmations all the time. You're training your mind, You're training your mind. And also the power of prayer and talking to your guides, your angels, the universe, God, Jesus, Mother Mary, Moses, Inshallah. It doesn't matter. You're not alone, I think. I'm a holistic person. You're not alone.
No, I know we're not alone.
Hey, before we leave, should
Yeah.
I pick a card for us?
Yeah, let's.
From one of my decks.
And where do we hold of you so we can?
I'll tell you right now. So at the end of each session, a client will pick a card from one of my decks. I have a million decks, but I have 4 here at home. And they're not about me being a card reader or anything like that. It's just a card to symbolize and signify our energy at the moment. So what card from what deck should we pick?
I like Sacred Destiny or Oracle.
Sacred Destiny is one of my favorites.
I'm Matt Kahn. So Matt Kahn, for those that don't know, I guess he's on a level of like an Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, this is not a Matt Kahn deck, but
No.
I have a Matt Kahn deck. But we're gonna put my glasses on. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so we're just gonna I'm just gonna shuffle the cards with David Cohen and Victoria Lorient-Faibish in mind, and all the viewers. So this is a card for all of us.
Yes.
This is a card for all of us.
Is it a Tea of Cups?
No, these are not tarot decks.
Oh, no, they're not
These
tarot.
are just oracle cards. Yes.
No, I love those readers.
Yeah, let's have a card. I'm
That's
waiting for a card to pop out. Hang on. Shh. Let's just have a card. Oh, there we go. There, a card just popped out.
what is it?
Cards. 2 cards.
2 cards. Lucky you for watching today. Oh, look at that, a goose and looks like a crystal. And
Do you read the words, David?
oh, patience and wonders.
Yes, and this came twice because the one fell out initially and I put it back in because I thought it was too soon.
Okay.
The very first that came out, patience and wonders. Let me read to you about wonders because that's the one that came out twice. It's a short reading, so just give me a sec. Everybody, wonders. The sacred landscape wants you to know, just around the corner, exciting possibilities are waiting for you. Wonders will be abounding in your life. Sometimes they won't be apparent at first. However, they are there. The more you see them and embrace them, the more these possibilities will grow in magnitude. Celebrate and cherish even the smallest ones, no matter how tiny the wonders may seem. Let go of expectations. Don't limit the way or what you're thinking wonders are. Be open. If you believe, anything and everything is possible.
Yes, I love it. And those watching, you should too.
And I'm just going to read about patience really quickly. Patience, really short little paragraph. In dense fog, it's best to be quiet and still. For now, don't go forward. Wait. It's hard to see what lies ahead, and things may not be as they seem. Things may seem one way, but in fact, they are completely different. Be patient. The truth will emerge. In this state of obscure visibility, your imagination and intuition can be sparked. If you can wait long enough, your dreams and inner yearnings can come to fruition. Listen to your intuition. Pay attention to those seemingly random thoughts.
Beautiful. What a way to go out. Now, Where do we reach you to connect?
So anyone and everyone can find me at my website, visualizationworks.com, visualizationworks.com, or come and find me on social media on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm a friend of David's.
Yeah.
Victoria Lorient-Faibish, Ahmed. Basically, you'll see it. Or find me on Instagram, Victoria Lorient-Faibish. Or find me on YouTube, Ask Victoria. Find me. There's so many videos, so many articles, so much free information. I want to see you. I want to hear you.
Well, I want to see you soon, and for our
We'll have a coffee at Aroma soon, okay?
yeah, Roma or Bucky's, and then we can walk up the street or something.
Fantastic.
All right. I love you for this. Thank you, Medusa.
Love you. Thank
the show. Thank you for watching. We do this every week. You want to donate to our Patreon page below. Our links there. We would love that. And have a great week. And we're gonna do more shows next week. So I just gotta cook up a new topic and find an unexpected guest.
Lovely.
We'll do that next week. Thank you, Victoria. What a joy.